Page 47, exercise 1.7, also known as oranges and lemons. Now this piece is 3 lines long. Got 3 sets of 2 steps going, okay, 3 lines. The first line, they've put it in for you, is for the right hand. The fact that the notes are in the upper staff, that probably tells you it's right hand. The second line is left hand. The notes are in the lower staff, big deal. And the third line is actually both. The first few measures are right hand, and then it ends up with the left hand. And you notice all the same symbols that we've had before, except this time the numbers are 3-4, not 4-4. Remember, the top number tells you how far to count. So now we only have to count to 3. For those of us who are lazy, that's wonderful. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The bottom number tells us what we're counting. We're still counting quarter notes. So you have quarter notes, look it over. You have half notes. Remember, a half note is like a quarter note except it's hollow in the stem. You have eighth notes. Remember, that eighth note is like a quarter note except it's got beam across, connects them. And then at the end of each line, we have a half note with a dot. And surprisingly enough, that's called a dotted half note. Makes sense, I guess. But unless you understand what a dot is, you're lost. So I'll tell you all about it, because I know you're dying to know. The rule is, and it's really not hard, it's a simple rule, the dot. Any note can pretty much have a dot. The dot gets half the value of the note, whatever it is. So in this case, it's a half note. The value of the half note in 3/4 time is 2 beats. It's equal to 2 quarter notes. We're counting quarter notes, so it's 2 beats or 2 counts. Well, if the half note gets 2, the dot gets half of that. It gets 1. You have to put them together, so the whole thing, the dotted half note, is 3 counts total. So you'd hold it down for 3 counts. It's handy in 3/4 time because there's 3 beats in a measure. And you hold it down for 3 counts, so it's a whole measure. It just works out that way. It's really nice. And that's that. Now, a symbol I haven't bothered to explain yet is these little boxes in the other staff. In the first line, when the right hand's playing, the bottom staff, all you have are these little boxes in each of these measures. Second line, the boxes are in the upper staff, etc. You get the idea? That box is called a whole rest. Every note has a corresponding rest. And you play a rest by being quiet. You play the note by pressing a key down. You play a rest by being quiet. And playing the rests are important in music. So be quiet on that part. So they're simply telling you in this first line that the left hand, which is the bottom staff, is simply going to be quiet. Now, a whole rest corresponds to a whole note. And a whole note is 4 quarter notes. There's 4 quarters in a whole. So you would think, okay, a whole rest is going to be 4 beats too. But how can you have 4 beats if there's only 3 beats in a measure? Because that's not legal. You can't do that. Now what they do is the whole rest has another definition, another duty, and that is that it can represent a whole measure. So in this case, since there's 3 beats in a measure, those whole rests represent 3 beats. And that's the way that works. And that's all the symbols they've thrown at you so far that I can see, except the one symbol, which is the end of the piece symbol. So I just will tell you about that since you're confused enough already. The end of the piece, you will notice it in music. Look around at different music and different things. If you look at the very end of the last line, there's 2 bar lines. There's a thin bar line and a thick bar line. These go together. And that thin and thick bar line is the symbol for the end of the piece. It means it's over, it's done. There are exceptions, but in most cases, if you look around in the piece, wherever you find that, because it may not be at the end, it may be in the middle somewhere. That's where the piece is going to end, eventually. So, having all that confusion going on, let's try this out. We're using Sort of the same notes we did in the previous exercise, except now the left hand has to move around a little more. Because if you look at the second line, the left hand is where it was in the previous exercise. You're starting out with the D above middle C. And you're also using these other keys here. But if you look at the last line, the last few measures when the left hand comes in, now the left hand has to move. It has to come down to here, to this C position with the bottom. Because the note there is a G, it's the space right above the F. Remember the F is between those two dots in the clef, F, okay. And that's with the thumb, so that's telling you your hand goes here. So you got to move the hand down. When do you move the hand down? Oh, I'm glad you asked, I'll tell you. Move the hand down anytime you want to, just make sure it's there before it needs to play. So if you want to wait until you play that half note C right before in the right hand, if you want to move down right then, that's fine. Since the left hand and right hand are in each other's way, probably when the right hand starts that last line, you can move the left hand down immediately. So it's there, ready to go when its time comes. So plan out these hand moves ahead of time. We practice moving the hands in piano. We actually practice this because you have to do it without messing up the beat. No hesitations. It's got to be right there like a metronome. Once the beat starts at the beginning of a piece, it's going to go like a train that won't stop until it gets to the end. There's no hesitations. There's nothing. It's just really steady like a clock. And until you can do that, you don't know the piece. You can't play it. Please don't go on in the book until you can play it right exactly as it should be played, beat after beat after beat. Let's try this. Isn't this fun? Boy. When we start this, the right hand's going to be up here on G. You need to know the names of these notes. If you don't know them yet, please take the time to try and learn them. The left hand will come up here on the next line, but since it's in the way, I'm going to leave it off for now, and we'll put it up. When I play the last note in the first line, at 3 counts, as I'm holding that down, I'm going to put the left hand up on top, ready to go, so when beat 1 comes on the next measure, I'm right there. And then I can take the left or the right hand down. Now when I get to the end of the second line, I'm here. The right hand's got to come back, so I'm going to put the right hand back up. So it's ready to go when beat 1 comes to that last line. And then I'm going to go ahead and move the left hand down immediately and just keep it there. Then when the right hand is done, I'm playing the left hand. It's good technique to leave the right hand there. It's not in anybody's way, but if you want, you can put it on your lap. I prefer to leave it there until the piece is over. There are reasons I'll get into later as to why I prefer that, but we only take it down otherwise if the hands are in each other's way, and they are in this piece in some places. I'm going to give us 3 counts because it's 3/4 time. I like to give a full measure count to get us in like 1 ready go, and then we go. Yeah, okay. Very, very slowly now. You have learned it, and now you're ready to try it with me. We're going to check, make sure your notes are correct and your counting is correct, the rhythm. So, right hand here. Here we go. 1, ready, go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Left hand. 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, 3. 1, 2. 3, right hand, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and